Hey guys, welcome back. Happy New Year. I know I haven't uploaded in like a week. I just, with the holidays and my husband, got laid off, so he's been home and my routine has just been nuts, like so bad. And I'm very happy that the holidays are over because I'm like itching in my soul and in my body to like get back to a routine and really work on the things that God has asked me to work on in my life. And I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like this year is, there's a lot of things, like a lot of breakthrough that's going to happen in me, in my life, in my husband's life, and in him, and in our family. And I just feel like this year is just going to be good. I just feel like a lot of breakthrough is going to happen this year. And if you've been following at all, thank you. But this whole past year was really hard. And I feel like sometimes, you know, God puts you through seasons where He's working on you, He's working in you. And sometimes those times are hard, but they're necessary for wherever God's taking you. And I feel like that season in my life is starting this year. It's going to come to a close, and God's going to start guiding me into the next step in whatever, his plan is for my life. And I can just feel it. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you. I can just feel it. I sense it. I feel it in me. And when I think about it, I just get so excited because I've always wanted that for my life, purpose. And, sometimes I hear people talking about like things, like, oh, I'm going to redo my cabinets, or I'm going to go get my nails done, or, oh, I'm really interested in this expensive purse, or I want this fancy car, or this or that, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like all of that just seems so empty to me. And it's not that I don't want nice things. It's not that I don't want a nice home. It's not that I don't want nice clothes. I don't want to spend like hundreds of dollars on clothes, but I do want nice things. Um, Especially a nice home. I want that a lot. But, you know, for me, at the end of the day, I feel like I won't feel full and whole until I am fulfilling God's purpose for my life. And I feel like I'm like getting closer and closer to that, to to the start of what He has planned for me. And that this season of Him working in me and transforming me and working on me and teaching me and the things that He needed to do, and the things that He needed to do for me right now, which I think the biggest thing was developing Him, God, as my foundation in life, putting my roots in Him, so that whatever storm that comes in life, I have my roots are in Him, and I'm holding on to Him in that storm, so that storm can't hurt me, that storm can't knock me off, that storm can't do anything to me because I'm holding on to God. And so um I feel like that's the biggest thing that He's been doing it in me, is developing that foundation so that, you know, the next steps that He has for me, I have that solid foundation in life now, and I just feel so like honored and grateful that like God is, using me, and I'm excited to see what He has in store for me, and I'm excited to help people, and I'm just really, really excited that like, so I'll just say this quickly before we start today's chapters. My whole life, I had a rough life so far. And I always lived on hope that there was hope, that there was something better, that it was, I was, if I had just hold on, that there would be something better in life for me and I could get to it. And there was a period in my time, in my life, a period of time where I lost that hope, and it was a dark time. But now that I have God in my life, it's like not only has that hope returned, but it's like, it's not just this, oh, I know that there's hope. It's like out there. It's like, I know there's hope now. And I know that there's light, and God's pulling me into the light and taking me out of the darkness, and is taking me into beautiful things. And it's like I know it now. I see it. It's something tangible now, instead of before where it was just like kind of like, oh, there has to be better. There's hope, like off in the distance, but it was like I never could get to it. And so it's like I just lately, even though I haven't done these videos and I haven't been consistent lately, I have been consistently praying. And I have been like so grateful to God for coming into my life and pulling me out of the darkness into the light. Because let me tell you, like, if that hasn't happened to you yet, you'll know when it happens. Seek God out and He will pull you out of the darkness and into the light. And when He starts to do that, you will never be the same. You'll never be the same in the best way possible. Because being in the light with God, no matter how dark your life is, it's like, if you have God in your life and you lean on Him and you turn to Him and you seek Him, and it's like, it's the best thing you can ever do. And I see people now kind of in situations where I used to be, and all I want to do is like pray for them and just pray that they find what I have. And I understand now people who, are always like pushing God on other people, like, because most of them, not all of them, but most of them just genuinely want what they have with God, for everyone else, I think it's beautiful. And I just pray that if anyone's watching this right now that needs that hope is in God. So start reading the Bible, start praying, start seeking God out. You will find that hope in God, and God will pull you out of the darkness into the light, and it'll be the best thing that ever happens to you. It will be. So I pray that for you, and I pray that everyone has a great start to their new year and a great whole year. I pray that this year, we take back America from the enemy and bring it back into the light and bring back God back. And I just pray that happens, because it seems like we're going in that direction. So, and I just pray that happens for everyone, because it's what we need. So I'm just feeling full of love right now. All right, guys, let's get into today's chapters.
You, O king, were watching, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose splendor was excellent, stood before you, and its form was awesome. This image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay, and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together, and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away, so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation of it before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings, for the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. And wherever the children of men dwell, or the beasts of the field, and the birds of the heaven, he has given them into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold. But after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours, then another, a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything. And like iron that crushes, that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all the others. Whereas you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron. The kingdom shall be divided, yet the strength of the iron shall be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with ceramic clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will come to pass after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face, prostrate before Daniel, and commanded that they should present an offering and incense to him. The king answered Daniel and said, Truly your God is the God of gods, the Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, since you could reveal this secret. Then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many great gifts, and he made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief administrator over all the wise men of Babylon. Also, Daniel petitioned the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and its width 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. And King Nebuchadnezzar sent word to gather together the satraps, the administrators, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So the satraps, the administrators, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces gathered together for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that at the time you hear the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery, in symphony with all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the gold image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the horn, flute, harp, and lyre, in symphony with all kinds of music, all the people, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the gold image which King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Therefore at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and accused the Jews. They spoke and said to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery, in symphony with all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the gold image, and whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not paid due regard to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the gold image which you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in rage and fury, gave the command to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the gold image which I have set up? Now if you are ready at the time you hear the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery, in symphony with all kinds of music, and you fall down and worship the image which I have made, good. But if you do not worship, you shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you from my hands?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If that is the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the expression on his face changed toward Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He spoke and commanded that they heat the furnace 7 times more than it was usually heated. And he commanded certain mighty men of valor who were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their trousers, their turbans, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's command was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire killed those men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished, and he rose in haste and spoke, saying to his counselors, "Did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire?" They answered and said to the king, "True, O king." "Look," he answered, "I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God." Then Nebuchadnezzar went near the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spoke, saying, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here." Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came from the midst of the fire. And the satraps, administrators, governors, and the king's counselors gathered together. And they saw these men on whose bodies the fire had no power. The hair of their head was not singed, nor were their garments affected, and the smell of fire was not on them. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him. And they have frustrated the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they should not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that any people, nation, or language which speaks anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made an ash heap, because there is no other God who can deliver like this." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar the king, to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied to you. I thought it good to declare the signs and wonders that the Most High God has worked for me. How great are his signs, and how mighty his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts on my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore I issued a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known to me the interpretation of the dream. Then the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers came in, And I told them the dream, but they did not make known to me its interpretation. But at last Daniel came before me. His name is Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God. In him is the spirit of the holy God. And I told the dream before him, saying, Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy God is in you, and no secret troubles you, explain to me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and its interpretation. These were the visions of my head while on my bed. I was looking, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree grew and became strong. Its height reached to the heavens, and it could be seen to the ends of all the earth. Its leaves were lovely, its fruit abundant, and in it was food for all. The beasts of the field found shade under it. The birds of the heavens dwelt in its branches, and all flesh was fed from it. I saw in the visions of my head while on my bed, and there was a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, Chop down the tree and cut off its branches. Strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts get out from under it, and the birds from its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze, in the tender grass of the field. Let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts on the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from that of a man. Let him be given the heart of a beast, and let 7 times pass over him. This decision is by the decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the holy ones, in order that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, gives it to whomever he will, and sets over it the lowest of men. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now you, Belteshazzar, declare its interpretation, since all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known to me the interpretation. But you are able, for the spirit of the holy God is in you. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for a time, and his thoughts troubled him. So the king spoke and said, Belteshazzar, do not let the dream or its interpretation trouble you. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, may the dream concern those who hate you, and its interpretation concern your enemies. The tree that you saw, which grew and became strong, whose height reached to the heavens, and which could be seen by all the earth, whose leaves were lovely and its fruit abundant, in which was food for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and in whose branches the birds of the heaven had their home. It is you, O king, who have grown and become strong, for your greatness has grown and reaches to the heavens, and your dominion to the end of the earth. And inasmuch as the king saw a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven and saying, Chop down the tree and destroy it, but leave its stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze, in the tender grass of the field. Let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king. They shall drive you from men, your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make you eat grass like oxen. They shall wet you with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whomever he chooses. And inasmuch as they gave the command to leave the stump and roots of the tree, your kingdom shall be assured to you, after you come to know that heaven rules. Therefore, O king, let my advice be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by being righteous, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the poor. Perhaps there may be a lengthening of your prosperity.
There we have it, guys. It's so wild because, sorry, I have like a little bit of I've had like a slight cold the past couple days. But no, it's so crazy. So chapter 3, about the 3 men that get into the fire and don't get hurt because they have that much faith in God and they just trust that God's going to protect them. My husband randomly brought that story up a few days ago. And out of the whole Bible, that was this, he just randomly brought it up because he was like, he admired people who have like deep faith in God. And he like was like wondering, he was curious to, he was like wondering how many people actually on earth, have that kind of deep faith, and he was like talking about how he kind of, you know, hopes that his faith grows, and he doesn't know if it'll ever be that strong, but you know, I don't know. I see things in my husband that he doesn't see, and I see that God has a plan for him, and I see that my husband um can have deep faith in God and can be a very good godly man, but he's struggling a little bit. Um, but I know God has him in his hands, so I'm not worried. But anyways, I just thought it was so wild that my husband brought up that story about the three men in the fire because I hadn't heard it. And it was the next chapters that I was about to read. It was kind of interesting. But I mean, it's so true though. Like, when you have faith in God, like just true faith, it's, what do they say? You can move mountains. um, and I think it's beautiful. I think it's amazing. And I always pray that my faith continues to grow in God, and over time, and just gets deeper, and and um in just over a year, I have a lot of faith in God. So it's kind of like wild because I'm like, wow, I wonder like how much more it's gonna grow, um because I already sometimes like have, I feel like, more faith in God than some people around me that have known God way longer than me. And so it's like I'm just like I'm excited to see what God has in store for me and where I'm going. So, I don't know. Work on your faith, guys. Pray about it, ask God to help you with it and grow that faith, cuz faith in God is like, can do many things. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go take care of my nose. So I will see you guys tomorrow for some more chapters. Bye.